It is the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast bringing you this week's Farmers Insurance. Bets, DFS, one and done, everything in between, and more. And here to join me to share this wonderful tournament with you is my good friend, Kenny Kim. What's going on, Kenny?
What's up, guys? A pretty not very exciting week at the Amex. Scotty doing his thing, pretty impressive. We'll have to talk about how close he is, Tiger and Jack. He's getting closer with every win, right? So pretty impressive stuff. Didn't make it too exciting. Everyone who played with him fell apart. Seems like the norm for the best player in the world, no matter who the best player in the world is. You saw that with Tiger all the time. Guys playing with him and just crashing. And that's basically what happened this past week. This week, we got Koepka coming up. I guess Koepka moves the needle because we're getting 3 hours of coverage of the Farmers on ESPN on Thursday and Friday, just to see Brooksy, I guess. That would be the only thing I could think of why they would get on and do this for the first time in 20 years. ESPN is broadcasting a non-major on their network this week for the Farmers.
Well, there's nothing going on. Usually this is the week of hell for content creators where we have to scramble and get stuff done in 2 days because it starts on Wednesday. Not the case this week. So we have got all 3 days to love and caress your ears on this wonderful show that you're hitting the subscribe button on Mayo Media, on all the Spotworks, networks, Apple, all that stuff. We appreciate you guys. So Kenny, when I was growing up as a kid, my dad, whenever I was causing shit and kind of being a delinquent, he'd call me an oxygen thief. Just standing there, stealing oxygen from everyone around us, not doing anything, but just sucking oxygen, where that's kind of a negative situation. Positive situation is Scottie Scheffler is the oxygen thief. When you are playing with him, the air around you just starts evaporating. And by the time you're on the 6th hole and your name's Siwoo Kim, you all of a sudden make a 7 that you would have never, ever made in your life, taking 3 shots to get on the green from the greenside bunker. Not ideal. So Scotty he used to be the best golfer in the world, and now he's the most intimidating golfer in the world and the best golfer in the world. And it's scary, Kenny. It's causing issues. Blades and Siwoo, I think, both shot over par in the final round. Also, Blades to recap,
Blades dropped to almost outside the top 20.
Yeah, kind of. He went full JT Poston, who was sitting solo 9th going into the final round. I had a plus 290 top 20 on him. Finished 38th.
Yeah, that's going from. My cornerstones on 4/4, and I had Poston and Colley as my other 2. And so Poston dropping hurt me. My original was Whaley and Gerard. So I still would have had the missed cut with Whaley, but I would have easily casted Gerard in second. So I probably should have went with my first instinct. That was the first one I went through. Not the greatest.
Speaking of first instincts, I should have gone with Tom Hoge, Kenny.
You had a decent betting week. I know it wasn't great, but you did hit on some, right?
Yeah, I had Tom Hoge 600-1 last week to win the tournament, and I had him 50-1 to finish top 5, which was literally a sweat until the very final hole. Remember last year, Kenny, I was bitching about Max Griesemann. We made a double to cost me like a 4-unit swing on the 18th hole of the final day. Tom Hoge, the 18th hole last week, made bogey, and while I was sitting on the floor just watching, because that's where I watch golf from, I watched Matt McCarty hit that absolute dime on 18 to 3 feet to go from T5, which Tom Hoge was T5 with Matt McCarty at minus 22, birdied that hole, and then made everyone at minus 23 T2 for the top 5. So then Tom Hoge was outside the top 5, made bogey, and then I missed out on the top 5, the 50-1 top 5, and then I got dead heated with the top 10 as well. Finished T8 at 25-1. So, I was cashing all of these big tickets. I lost 2 units overall on the week, but I cashed the SH Kim first round leader that got chopped 3 ways. It was kind of a weird week, but man, I was right there. At one point, I could have won like 12 units, without being too crazy. Out of Tom Hoge kind of just finished that top 5. JT Poston finished inside the top 20, but neither here nor there. We are still profitable for the year. it was a fun week. We limited our exposure because I think I saw there, Kenny, multiple people inside the top 10 were like triple, like 12 to 1, 20 to 1 to finish inside the top 10 for everyone that cash, which was ridiculous. This is the tournament that you literally pay the long shots for, and then the guy at 3 to 1 odds goes and wins it by
Yeah, a couple of Scotty numbers here that I found. It's his 17th round, I guess. His first round was his 17th round of 63 or better in the last 4 years, which is 4 more than second place. And second place I thought was a little bit funny. I didn't know Russell Henley was like that. Russell Henley has the second most rounds of 63 or better.
underrated.
In the last 4 years, just behind Scotty. Also, if you look at some more numbers here, most rounds 64 or lower the last 5 seasons. Scotty's 33. Next one, where are we at here? There's some more Scotty numbers here. Okay, career tour money leaders. Scotty's third. He's the third. Only 3 golfers have over $100 million. Number 1 is Tiger. Number 2 is Rory. Number 3 is Scotty on the career money list. First 70 career starts for Scotty Scheffler, 0 wins, right? Next 81 starts, 20 wins, 25% win percentage. 46 top 5s, 70 top 20s, 78 made cuts in his last 81. Scotty's 16th win in his last 38 starts since switching to the mallet. So we can blame Rory for another one. He has a 42% win percentage since he switched to the mallet putter. That's basically where we should start his records with, right? Because that's where everything started coming, right? Once he switched to that mallet. So in his in his last 38, so 38 starts with the mallet, he's won 16. Those are Tiger numbers. Those are Jack numbers.
And there's a broken, like a cut open hand somewhere in the mix there as well for a couple days.
For a few months, yeah.
So,
and, 20 wins, third golfer with 20 wins of 4 majors. He's a third golfer ever behind Tiger and I think Rory, right?
Jack.
It's Rory. I think it's Rory and Tiger. And then
for what? For what, Kenny?
For 20 wins and 4 majors before 30 years old.
Jack and Tiger.
Rory didn't have 20 wins before 30?
Nope.
Okay. So I know he had the 4 majors before 30, but I guess he didn't have the 20 wins. So it's just Jack and
Jack, Tiger, Scotty. 20 wins before 30.
That conversation, I mean, it's still a ways away. He would need to be number 1 for like another 3 years to break Tiger's record. I think 2028 would be when he has to hold on to number 1 to break Tiger's record. I think that's possible. If he keeps
he just has to be world number 1 for the next year because he's and continue doing what he's doing because he can literally die in a year's time and then still be world number 1 2 years later.
Yeah,
because so he's just
difference between him
so
and
far
Rory,
ahead.
The difference between him and Rory is the same. Who's number 2 in the world golf rankings is the same between Rory and the 677th ranked golfer in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Same divisor. So I mean, just thinking about Scotty and what he could do and how he could do it, it seems like it could happen. I mean, the thing is, he would have to have he'd have to be healthy. And he doesn't really have very many injuries. He's lanky, he's loose, he's not all rock hard like Tiger was, where it's easy to pull muscles, really to wrench his back, and he doesn't really have the explosive type swing because of his weird footwork, right? Because of his weird footwork, I think that actually helps his knees.
Absolutely.
It helps the bottom part of his body to stay healthy, where it doesn't have that torque that Tiger has. I think the big thing for him would be him just enjoying the game. He unlike Tiger, where it was like singular focus, stuff like that, he has other stuff going on. His family's more important. That's the only thing I could see that could stop him at this moment in time, because I don't see injuries happening, though, they can happen. I think the only thing that could stop Scotty is Scotty if he wants to.
Absolutely. I think he's a juggernaut right now. And the thing is, it's so hard to compare him to Tiger because what Tiger did was what Tiger did for so long. And half of us don't even know what Jack Nicklaus really did,
Yeah,
to be
Tiger
honest
really
with
didn't
you.
even do it for that long. If you
Well, he
look,
did it.
11 years is where he did all of his damage. It's not like he did it for decades. He got 95% of everything done in his first 11 years.
Which
All
is what
right.
Scotty's like what 4 or 5 years into this run now. When did he switch to the mat at 22?
60 something of 30, 60 events. So not
Yeah.
long. 3 years ago,
So
less than 3 years ago.
yeah. And I think what's benefiting Scotty is like with Tiger, he had all those injuries. He redid his swing.
Yeah.
I don't see Scotty Scheffler. Me and Eric were chatting about
And he
it
makes
on my show
adjustments.
last night.
His hands are a
Makes
little bit higher.
tweaks,
Yeah. His
tweaks,
hands are a
but
little bit higher this year on the backswing. But I mean,
yeah.
it's not like anything major, like Tiger just reinventing the swing every year, just burning it down and reinventing it from the start, from the break. That's not what Scotty's doing.
And Scotty showed up with 180 mile per hour ball speed this week. New driver, the QI4, I think, for him, the TaylorMade. And I saw 182 down on 15 coming home, just on a Sunday afternoon, hitting 182 mile per hour ball speed, Scotty Scheffler. And we've always said Scotty Scheffler is a great total driver of the golf ball, got mediocre to above average distance, but supreme accuracy given the distance he has. Now he's got some juice. I think, 180 plus for him is going to be a lot of fun to deal with. If you think about it, Kenny, like on Saturday, he hit a drive with the draw into a wind that was coming off the left. He carried over that water on that par 5 on the stadium course, the first one, the one with the water on the left, the water on the right there with the cart path in the middle. Carried all the shit. Like he just carried it because he can now hit it far enough. Like last year, I think that lands in the water. He carried it by that many feet, to just get it across the line there. So now that he's got extra pop, now that he's putting fantastically, I mean, on Sunday, he knocked multiple to 4 feet. On the PGA Tour, you're making 90% of your putts from 4 feet. He's also Scotty
I don't
Scheffler.
think he had a single birdie putt. I think he had one birdie putt outside of 10 feet. And he had like 9 birdies.
Exactly. I know. It's ridiculous. The course management, and you could see the difference between him and Siwoo Kim when it comes to course management.
Oh, Siwoo's just going with flag.
Well, yeah, he always does. But that's the thing. Like it works when you're feeling comfortable and confident. On a Sunday under the gun, that stuff gets you in trouble. And it's a problem. I also saw Scotty Scheffler. I watched his presser, and he mentioned last year how fine-tuning everything on the golf course so that when you're chipping it to dead versus 5 feet or 8 feet, which he said entering last year, he was a little rusty. And as you go, he mentioned it over the course of the tournament. Every time you chip it to a foot versus 6 makes a big difference over the course of the tournament. Like I've done the data, run the numbers with Scotty, and his average finishing position after round 1 is the lowest, and then his average finishing position in round 4 is the highest. So every single round, his average finishing position gets better and better and better. He just stays afloat. Everyone just sinks below him. It's unbelievable what he does. And we are now witnessing greatness. It's truly happening in front of our very eyes. And sit back and enjoy it. Enjoy the placement market, people. I've got placement bets for you coming hard and heavy this year because Scotty Scheffler is a problem. Unless you want to go the without Scotty Scheffler markets, top 5s are the way to go. And I'm contemplating doubling up my top 5 investments versus my outright. Usually I match the top 5 to the number I bet the outright with. I'm thinking about just going double, where really taking advantage of just having a good read on the field, but not, if your guy doesn't get across the line, you're still cashing nicely for a good finish. So I think that's what I'm going to be looking at going forward, Kenny.
I had 3 golfers in cash position going in the Sunday or within a stroke, either in or within a stroke of cashing, and none of them cashed. So pretty shitty Sunday. All my dudes just fell apart on Sunday.
I didn't even put Ryan Gerard in my rooting investment tweet in the morning because he was sitting at like minus 16, 6 shots back of the lead, and finished second. Like that is his 3rd second in a row.
Yeah, he's gone from outside the top 50 since he decided to go to Mauritius to play that event to try and
Mauritius.
make it to the Masters. Now I think he's 26th, 25th,
27th, I think.
27th in the world. So yeah, a pretty good move by him. I mean, you could say he's due or he lost his chance. It's going to be one of the two. It's either he's due and he wins this week, or he lost his chance and he's got to get back to it somehow, sometime later. I don't see 4 runner-ups for him. We'll see. The guy's been playing out of his mind. So
Did you
can
see
say
3
Jason Day
runner-ups
with a
for him?
What?
Did you see 3 runner-ups?
No, definitely did not. Now
Like,
Jason Day, solid finish by Day.
no, I just
You
want
know,
to mention, Kenny,
yeah,
with Ryan Gerard quickly. Sorry. All of those second places, the last 2 were backdoors as well. Like, he never got taste, right? The only second there was the Mauritius playoff, where he was actually like in contention. So he's backdoored those 2 seconds with the winner kind of running away. It'll be interesting to see what he gets up to if he finds himself in contention. Continue.
yeah, Thigala with a top 10 is first in a while. It's good to see him back up there. I think Halton with his first top 10 in America. A guy who's on the radar this week for me. So yeah, it was some decent golf. Cantlay with a good finish. Wyndham Clark with a good finish down here. Willie Z with I think a top 20, if I'm not mistaken. Top 20, yeah, top 20. Willie Z came out, shot like 9, 8 under on his first day. Talked about how it's the healthiest he's felt in a while, and he came out and sort of proved it. So we'll see what happens when he gets into some 4 or 5 inch rough in some of these events and see how he hacks out of it. But resort courses, it seems okay, which normally doesn't seem like it's his cup of tea, right? Usually you expect Willie to be in contention in a grinding type contest, somewhere between 12 and 18 under par, right? That's sort of where you picture him doing, a decent finish here and a birdie fest is good seeing him, especially with his health and how he's been, in the last few years with his back. So hopefully he's back.
Yeah, I think his first like show up on the
Anything else?
leaderboard was when he finished second at the Amex a couple years ago. So he does like this golf course a lot, Willie Z, particularly the West Coast. It suits him nicely. But it's going to be interesting to see how this new swing translates to the courses that he used to thrive at, the long iron venues, the thick rough, Augusta, US Opens. We're going to get some Torrey Pines coming up this week. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a good week. Patrick Reed, Kenny, we mentioned in the major preview show, I had a 90-1 on Patrick Reed to win the Masters at DraftKings. That is now 70-1 after he won yesterday. Hope you guys got in on that. I still think 71 is a ridiculous number for Patrick Reed at the Masters. Like, he's obviously motivated. He's playing great golf right now, and he's got like some of the best course history at the Masters you could ever find. So go and grab yourself a 70 while it's still out there. If you didn't grab the 90 already, I think that's absolutely. If Patrick, I don't think it would happen, obviously, but it would be fun to see Patrick Reed and Scottie Scheffler go at it around Augusta. A true villain and nice guy type situation.
That would be fun.
Who knows? All right. So, Kenny, anything else you want to chat about? Oh, I have a story. I can't remember what my story was. So I had some itchy ears, went and got my stuff figured out. The lady gave me some eardrops. Gave me like horrendous earache. It was too strong. So my ears went from itchy to like broken. I couldn't like sleep on the side of my head. I had to like sleep laying on my back because my ears were so, I couldn't even put my headphones in. That was how sore my ears were. So turns out it's the same lady that when I had my nasal procedure done at the same place, she injected my one side of my nostril, my nose, to numb it. And then I think I like sneezed or like weirded out after she like literally shoved this needle in my nostril. And she dropped the needle into her leg. She stuck herself with the needle. This was a couple years ago. She stuck herself with the needle she just injected me with, and then it landed in her leg. And then she had to get another needle and inject the other side of my nose. She didn't do it properly. Then when she did the procedure, She cauterized my nose on the side that she numbed first, which was totally fine, still a little painful, and then went to the other side. And that was probably the 7 most hellish seconds of my life, because by the time I realized I was in like torturous pain because the numbing didn't work because she fucked up the whole injection, I had to just deal with it because I was halfway through it. You're not going to stop it to do it again later. Like I just had to deal with like 4 more seconds of this stuff. And that was fantastic. My nose is a lot better now and I can breathe. A couple of days later, I had to go get an AIDS test because we had to protect this lady's life. I'm from South Africa. No, I'm joking, but I am from South Africa. But I had to go get this AIDS, and getting an AIDS test, although you don't have it, like it's intense, man. Like you never know if you have AIDS, like, or anything that you're gonna go get tested for. Like it's like a weird situation. So, yeah, I had to sit in my car to that procedure and just like sit there for 10 minutes because I just gone through paid torture, and it was like, anytime I sit in a chair and let people touch my mouth and nose, things go like horribly wrong. But yeah, we are. So
Yeah.
happy
HIV
days.
and STD tests have HIV and STD tests have become the norm for me. I'm pretty used to them. Pretty used to them
A
in
nice
my
adrenaline rush.
45 years. Definitely, most of the time after vacations, I have to go see the doctor.
Trips to Florida in particular.
Florida was definitely, I guess the one I went to Tampa, not this past year, but the time before, I made some really bad decisions, and had to make sure my area. Sorry,
decisions.
Katie. I know we have a listener, Katie King, who always comments on YouTube, and she was not a big fan of me talking about the pineapple juice versus asparagus last week. So I apologize. I wasn't going to bring up sex on the show, but Byron did it. So blame Byron. Don't blame me. He brought it up. Always clean. How? No idea. Because there's been some dirty shit that I've been in. But,
I had a guy on my
no
college golf team
diseases.
whose motto was, "I don't get STDs, I give them." And it
Not a great motto. Not a great motto.
Hey, the best defense is good offense, man. So you got to do what you got to do. But speaking about defense, only one of the courses on this week's rotation has good defense. The other has nothing. So we've got easy scoring conditions on the North course, difficult as shit on the South course. We've got 2 courses. Kenny Kim, tell us all about it.
All right, so the PGA Tour heads to La Jolla, California this week for the Farmers Insurance Open. It could be the last year of this event, which is sad. We shall see. It's played both on the North and South courses at Torrey Pines. Golfers will play both courses on Thursday and Friday. If they make the cut, they'll finish the 2 rounds on the South course. Even though the North course went through some major innovations a few years ago, still by far the easier of the 2 courses. No golfer has shot over par on the North course and won here since 1983. Golfers need to take advantage of their 1 round on the North course to get the job done. Some like betting tidbits. I know we've talked about this in previous years. We'll see how this plays out because the books have sort of figured this out. But a lot of times on this event, I don't think you should. In the previous years, I wouldn't bet anything until like the tee times are out, right? Then only bet North course starters pre-tournament, right? Because that course is easy. They start there on Thursday. Their numbers are gonna plummet down, right? Now the guys that play on the South course play a harder course, and then you bet them live after the first round. Now, granted, the book sort of latched onto this, but you can still find maybe like 1 or 2 numbers out there that are wrong based upon the courses that have played. We'll see because the books get smarter and smarter and smarter every year. So I know last year there might have been like 1 or 2 that you could have bet, but they were like nobodies that played the South course first, right? So just something to think of, take a peek at, on Friday before the round starts or Thursday night after the round to see if there's any type of, mess ups that the books may have based upon the course angles. I mean, last week we talked about first round leader, right? And how most books do it by course, there are a couple of books out there that did it by the tournament. So, you find that book. They're mostly across the pond and they're mostly offshore. And we're in America. But they were out there. If you're listening across the pond, you probably get them a little bit easier than we do here in the States. But that cuts your first round leader in numbers a lot. You just eliminate the South Course, right? You eliminate the people that play in the afternoon, and you got like 40 guys to pick between, right? It makes it a lot easier. Now we'll see if that happens again this week with this type of sentiment. I doubt it, but keep an eye out just in case. Now, weather could play a factor. Both courses situated near the ocean, susceptible to trade winds. I mean, we've seen like crazy shit here where like the scoring average is like 77 for a round. Like you think Snedeker, stuff like that. A couple of trends. 13 of the last 15 winners had a previous top 10 at this event. There's also like the California connection, like roughly 50% of all people that have won this event have some type of California connection, whether college, whether they grew up there, stuff like that. That to me, that just reads they're used to these greens, right? The pole can get bumpy. It's hard to putt on them. I think that's what that sort of means. 9 of the last 10 winners made at least one start in the calendar year prior to their win. So that's another thing to take a peek at. Now this year's a little bit different, right? Because you didn't have the Century. So all the top dogs didn't play that. Did they play the last 2 weeks? We'll see. Am I off Sander because hasn't played? Maybe. We'll talk about that as the show goes on. But let's talk about the courses. The North Course. The course they only play once. 7,258 yard par 72, typical 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. Par 5s all reachable by most golfers. There's also drivable par 4. You got to score well on those 5 holes. You got to be like 4 or 500 on those 5 holes. It'll go a long way to make that cut, right? Tom Weiskopf, we designed a course in 2016, added length, widened the fairways, removed bunkers, enlarged the greens. Off the tee, golfers are going to see average side fairways, thickest rough. There's only a few trees and fairway bunkers, only a few fairway bunkers to worry about, but much less so than the South Course. On Pro Shots, golfers see average to large size greens with bunkers guarding most putting surfaces. The greens use bent grass, stip meter rating of around 12. The South Course is a 7,800 yard behemoth, right? Par 72, 4 par 4s, 4 par 5s. The par 5s are long, around 590 average. So really, you got to be long to hit these par 5s in 2. The course is one of the hardest on tour, plays between 3 and 4 strokes more difficult on average than the North Course. Off the tee, golfers are going to see narrow tree line fairways, plenty of bunkers to dodge. Only around 50% of fairways are hit on this course year in and year out. The rough around the fairways is brutal. Usually. It hasn't been. Last year was a little bit less, right? It's Kikuyu, rough, say 2.5 minimum. Depends how they're going to go about it. This is something to pay attention to because last year they sort of made it a lot easier. Now, I don't know if they did that because they knew they were coming back in 2 weeks to play it again for the Genesis. I don't know. I don't know if that's the reason why or not. But last year definitely played easy. It seemed like it took some of the bite out. I don't know if that's something that they want to continue doing or not. So this is something to pay attention to as the week goes on Golf Channel, whatever, to see how thick this rough is. Because it could be 2.5, it could be 4, right? 2.5 is going to be a lot easier, right? And it's Kikuyu. So, Kikuyu tends to, sort of sit on top, right? It's not like Bermuda where it like sinks to the bottom, but still you got 4 inches of it. It could sink a little bit. You got 2.5, not as difficult, right? So that's something to pay attention to. Of course, a lot of the holes here at South Course have a slight dogleg right, and right-handed golfers who play cut off the tee have been known to thrive here. Fairways don't necessarily have to be hit to succeed. Leishman won years ago was almost dead fucking last in driving accuracy when he won. Over the years, accurate golfers have finished top 10, bombers have finished top 10. For example, you look like 5 years ago. 3 golfers in the top 20 in driving accuracy finished top 10. 3 golfers in the top 20 in driving distance finished top 10, right? The year before that, 5 golfers have finished top 20 in driving accuracy, finished top 10. while 6 golfers have finished top 20 in driving distance, finished top 10. The tournament more than likely won't be won off the tee unless it can be lost off the tee, but it won't be won off the tee, but rather on approach shots. Though the edge, in my opinion, always ends up going to length. On approach shots, golfers are going to see average to small size greens that are usually narrow in width and lengthy from front to back, right? High green and regulation numbers usually leads to success here. The putting surface is multi-tiered, small bit of undulation. These greens are protected very well with large bunkers and thick rough. Most of the bunkers guard the front of the greens, which makes approach shots tough, especially since most greens slope from back to front. Even though a lot of the bunkers are in front of the greens, most holes do have like an opening in front of the green, so golfers have a chance to run up their approaches if they hit it in the rough off the tee. When the pin location is near the front of the green, expect a lot of long approaches with fast putts coming down the slope for birdie and par. The greens are POA and are very quick, steep minute rating of around 13. What are you looking for this week?
All right, Kenny. Solid breakdown, as always, from you, my buddy. Thank you so much for that. Sharing my screen, showing you some stuff. Let's check out my boxes. We're going to be checking for Byrons Boxes this week. Number one box for us, as Kenny's just mentioned, hellish conditions for me. This means that scoring average every single round on that course or any course is over par. As Kenny just mentioned, that is likely going to be the case here on the South course. Maybe it gets into some hard conditions, not hellish. If they cut their rough down a little bit, continue to monitor the situation. On the North course, we're going to have easy scoring conditions because that's just how that course rolls. So you're going to be wanting to monitor the two different situations. I have strokes gained for the two different places. If you want to go there, we can later on in the week. But hellish conditions, I have DP World Tour and KFT guys data in here as well. These are raw numbers. So don't think that, you're going to see a couple more DP guys up top here, but the competition on the PGA Tour is obviously going to have their strokes gained slightly lower, but it still shows you what they thrive at. So as you can see, Marco Pinge on the DP World Tour gained 1 stroke per round on easy and medium. The moment it gets too hard, he's gaining over 2 strokes on hard and hellish. And he has got monstrous juice. We'll chat about him a little bit later. So he's up there. Adrian Setier, Dan Brown, AJ Ewert, Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, Hao Tong Lee. These are all some KFT DP World Tour guys. Marty Doe, Hank Lebiota. Then we get to some PGA guys. Keegan Bradley definitely thrives in hellish conditions. Obviously has played well around here before. Alex Noren, Harris English, Maverick McNeely, and let's go with Vince Whaley as another name that's on the PGA Tour. So some names that play well in hellish conditions. Then we're going to go to my second box. We're not going to check any micro models. I've had a puking baby all day. The micro model's still under construction. But I do have for us a new tab called the Trenders tab, Kenny, where we're taking a peek at some guys over the last 12 months, 8 months, 4 months, and then in 2026. So what I've done in these two columns over here is I've totaled the 4 columns to the left to give an average, and then I've also prorated them based off the number of rounds. So, for instance, if we take a look at Jason Day, this 3 strokes gained on average in 2026 is only the Amex. He's played 4 rounds of golf, averaged 3 on those 4 rounds, and as a result, it's really skewing his total. If you take a look at the watered down version, the prorated is 1.5. So I like that a lot more safer. But this column over here is showing you a couple guys like Ryan Gerard. That includes 8 rounds of golf. He's been playing some solid stuff. So just taking a peek at who is trending pretty hard in 2026 so far. Chris Gotterup, Jason Day, Ryan Gerard, Andrew Putnam, Siwoo Kim, Jake Knapp, Will Zalatoris, Carl Phillips, and Patrick Cantley, all hanging out around the top 10. And then we'll mention Sam Stevens as well, with some Patrick Rogers and Wyndham Clark sitting at 1.8 strokes gained in 2026. That's my next couple boxes. What else are we checking here? Course history at this venue. Let's go to course rotations tab and take a peek at this monstrosity and wonderful situation you can go and find yourself. In the Model Maniac Patreon, go click the link in the description below. You can find every single round for the 2 different courses since 2021 for these golfers. As you can see, since we have only limited sample size for the North course, that's why the majority of them will be showing up here, because this is why sample size matters. The more rounds you play, the lower your average gets. But with limited rounds around here, we've got some spike chances for these guys. And as a result, we've got some weird averages. Again, Column X is the raw average. Column Y is weighting it down. You need at least 5 rounds on the North course to get the full strokes gain for us. So let's just take a look at weighted average on the different courses. Xander Schauffele tops in for the South course. That is the best strokes gained at this venue, the South course. But Kenny, you mentioned you need success on the North course. I'm going to scroll all the way to 136th, 135th, 133rd. There's Xander Schauffele's North course performances. And he's never gained more than 1.3 strokes on the North course. That's like 4 or 5 shots. That's extremely difficult to get back on the South side. Other names that have played well on the various courses. Aaron Rai, number 2 in strokes gained total on the North course. Let me just actually filter on South course because that's truly where we're going to be playing here this week. So Sam Stevens comes in second behind Xander, and Will Zalatoris, we don't know if he's going to be the same guy anymore. Max Homa comes in fourth, Jake Knapp, Tony Finau, Keegan Bradley, Mathieu Pavard, Hideki Matsuyama, and Peter Malnati. Love Peter Malnati on the South course. He's a sneaky, skinny Pete, is always in the mix to get down with it on the West Coast. So that's course history for you guys. You can go and find the North course stuff somewhere else or in the Model Maniac Patreon. Let's take a look now at finish rates in 2025 plus the Sony. I've still got the Amex to add here once I get some time. But filtering on the total percentages for win, top 5, top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, and made cuts, we're going to add all of them together to see who gets the total highest percentages. Xander Schauffele gets to 356 total percents, even with a top 5 rate and a win rate of only 6%, which you can see amongst his peers, that's not necessarily very high, but he's super, super, super consistent. High floor. Behind Xander, we've got Marco Penge on the DP World Tour, crushed it out there, had 12% win rate. JJ Spahn behind Marco, Patrick Cantley, Christopher Wright, and Hideki Matsuyama. Chandler Blanchet from the Corn Ferry Tour had incredible finishing rates on the KFT. Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, Keegan Bradley, John Kiefer, Alex Noren, and Ludwig Oberg round out the top 11 over there for us in the total finishing positions. And that's going to be it for me on the boxes. If you want to take a look at who's had like high-end finishes at this golf course, obviously we've got past winners, Harris English, Max Homa, Luke List, Mathieu Pavard for us over there. Byrons Boxes checked for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for that portion of the show. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let us know how much you love us. And while you're still doing that, in the comments, let us know who is going to win this week's tournament. One comment. Once that name's in there, you cannot type another name in there. That's the same name. It won't win. We had 2 winners last week because we never had a winner at the Sony. Shout out to Phoenix Reeves, some other random stuff after that. Congratulations. The screen will be showing your names over here. And then Ray Martin as well. Both of you selected Scotty Scheffler. You bunch of squares. Congratulations. Those are the type of competitions you want to be selecting Scotty Scheffler in because there's no salary, no odds. You get 2, 1 each. Free month in the Model Maniac Patreon, where we have been cooking. So lots of good information for you guys. Thank you so much for that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let us know in the comments there. And reach out to me, you two, on X so that I can get you in there this week so we can cook for you guys. Kenny Kim, let's get to some freaking bets for this week's Farmers Insurance, my brother.
Yeah, so I have 5 bets so far. I've only used like 4.6 units. I have 2.4 units to spend. I'll probably add another one, somebody up top. And then maybe save a little bit for live. So make sure you check out my X account at Kendo VT for my full card on Wednesday because these 5 are just going to be some of them. The first one's going to be Wyndham Clark, 40-1 with 8 places. I'll talk more about him later on in a different segment. Next, it's going to be Sam Stevens, 45-1 with 8 places. Always play Sam Stevens on driver heavy courses. Solid start to the year, 31st at Sony. Not a great course fit last week, I thought, but he still finished 6th last week. Has a couple of top 15s here, including a runner-up last year. He was top 35 in every strokes gained stat last week on the stadium course. Ball strikings look good, look very strong on Amex. Gained strokes with his irons in 3 of his last 4 appearances here. Bent and Poa are his 2 best putting surfaces. Next, it's going to be Nikolai Højgaard at 45-1 with 8 places. Coming off a solid 4th place finish in Dubai with a pretty strong field that they had last week. Finished runner-up here before. Iron game really strong, especially with his longer irons. Next, it's going to be Novak, 80-1, 8 places. Finished with 2 top 13s here last year, the Farmers and the Genesis. Remember, they had the fires, so they played the Farmers here, and then 2 weeks later, they played the Genesis here also. Gained strokes in every strokes gained category, the both times he played here last year. Hasn't been great recently, so hoping his luck for the course can get it done. Also, Poa and Bent are his 2 best putting surfaces. Last, it's going to be Hao Tong Lee, 80-1 with 8 places. He got his maiden top 10 in America last week. All 4 of his DP World Tour wins have come on par 72s by the coast. He's been very strong off the tee and with his approach in his last dozen or so events spread across the DP World Tour and for the PGA Tour. I know Steve Bamford had a saying, he said he reminds him of Matthew Pavon. Pavon on his 3rd start on the PGA Tour a week after his first top 10 at the Sony, ended up winning this a couple of years ago. He sees that sort of same little trend, and I like that. So I'll go Hao Tong. So 5 bets only so far this week. I'll probably end up with 7 or 8. It's going to be Wyndham Clark at 40-1 with 8 places. Sam Stevens 45-1 with 8 places. Højgaard 45-1 with 8 places. Novak 80-1, 8 places. Hao Tong Lee 80-1, 8 places.
I've got a Hao Tong Lee bet as well. Kenny, love what he's getting up to. I mean, he was sitting T4. I think he bogeyed 18 at the Amex to get back to like T8 or whatever he landed up at. Yeah, 8th last week. Still trending very nicely. If you take a look, he had a 32% top 10 rate on the DP World Tour. And he leads this field in strokes gained, he doesn't lead, but he's top 5, if you remember the strokes gained hard and hellish conditions. In hellish, he's very, very good. And I think the interesting thing, Kenny, is the DP World Tour guys, I was taking a look at the number of rounds that they had hellish conditions. A lot. They played a lot of difficult courses out there. So, that might translate a little better because the KFT guys, if you take a look at their total hellish conditions, it's not close. It's all mainly the birdie fest and easy scoring for them on the KFT. So coming out to this golf course completely changed the whole way you're playing around a golf. So give me some Hao Tong Lee over there. I've got him at 100-1 with 5 places as well. I got a top 5 at DraftKings this morning for plus 15-1, basically, for a top 5 for Hao Tong. So I'm going to be looking at that market for him. And then I'm going to go top of the board here. 33-1. This is one of the best ball strikers in the field. We had a 15th place finish here last year. This is a person that could have won the Players. It's a person that could have won a PGA playoff event. He is the US Open champion. 33-1 in a field without Scottie Scheffler or Rory McIlroy or Tommy Fleetwood or anybody. What are we doing with this guy's price at 33-1 for JJ Spawn? Like, he's perpetually undervalued, underestimated. Like, I get it. He's like a short little guy that goes out there and knocks it around, but he finished 15th here last year, mainly just with the ball striking. Think about this. Think about Oakmont. Like, it's the same situation when it comes to having to hit the fairways or hitting out of the thick rough, and he's very good at either. So I think he can ball strike this place to death. And we've seen anytime the putter with JJ Spawn gets hot, the ball striking baseline is just constantly there. The putter just gets him over the end. And he finished second to Rory at the Players in a playoff and then lost to Tommy Fleetwood at the FedEx St. Jude in a playoff. So, I mean, he could have had 3 wins last year. Instead, he just had the US Open win, which is a horrible outcome, right? I mean, it's crazy. So he's 33-1, everyone ahead of him. Patrick Cantley, like, shorter odds than him. I don't understand that either. Like, what has Patrick Cantley done for us that JJ hasn't lately? So to me, JJ, great ball striking. We're just looking for the putter to come alive. So give me him. Then I'm going to be looking at Ryan Gerard, 52-1. I think we grabbed that this morning on DraftKings. I also grabbed the plus 860 top 5 for him. I mean, I'll just take a top 5 from him right now at this point because he's rattled off 3 consecutive top 2s. We just spoke about this. Mauritius, Sony, last week. They have all been backdoory. But if you're looking for a place to just reward ball striking, which is what he does, this is it. I mean, he can fairway and green this place to death. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do around here. Very fair number to start. I don't think those are there anymore. But as always, the reason why I put my bets in the Discord and you can come and see it in there is to find the best numbers. Because by the time this show comes out Monday night, some of these numbers are gone. So if you're cool with them, watch the show. If you want the best numbers, jump in the Discord. All my picks are free. The numbers are just the ones that I'm charging for because that's part of the whole package. You're getting all the tools, all of that stuff. Come on over to the Model Maniac Patreon. I'd love to have you there, where we're going to hit a Sam Stevens outright this week with you, Kenny Kim. Got to play this man at this golf course. We take a look at what Sam Stevens has done here. 13th and 2nd at this venue at the Farmers in the last 3 years. That's fantastic. And then finished 6th at the Amex last week. Some nice, sneaky form entering the week. That's what Sam Stevens gets up to. His second best split on easy, medium, hard, and hellish are the hellish conditions for Samuel Stevens, playing some fantastic golf in 2026. Did you mention Sahith Theegala, Kenny, as well? I'll be going with him at 100-1 with Sahith Theegala this morning, 15-1 for a top 5. If you take a look at what Sahith got up to last week, 31st at the Sony, 8th at the Amex last week. So finding his groove at this golf course, he's finished 25th and 4th back in 22 and 23. The last 2 years, he's kind of finished outside the top 50. Has made the cut, though. It's a golf course I think he's going to win at one point in his life. It makes too much sense for him not to. It's a West Coast course. He's a California guy. I'm looking forward to Sahith getting his shit together. He makes way too much sense around this venue, and his putting is finally starting to find some upside. He's found his groove again there. So shout out to Sahith Theegala for fighting back and overcoming that girlfriend of his or fiance who is literally one of the most toxic TikTok accounts I've ever seen out there. Watch me watch my boyfriend play around a golf on. It's just like and it makes absolute sense why his game went to complete crap over the last couple of years. So who knows when JoJo showed up in Sahith's life. Either way, I hope they are happy and healthy behind the scenes. Sahith and JoJo. Love you guys very much. Hao Tong Lee, spoke about him already. Some other bets. Patrick Rodgers. Entering the Amex, it was the first time in his 11 or 12-year career that he had back-to-back finishes inside the top 10. Never played well at the Amex, so I just bet him there last week just in case. Get a 66-1 at a golf course. He finished, Patrick Rodgers finished 3rd here last year or something like that. He's exceptional around this golf course. I'm actually just going to put it up real quick. I want to make sure that I've got the right number for you guys. Last year, Patrick Rodgers at this venue, I think at the Genesis, he was one of the top finishers, finished 56th at the Farmers the week before or 2 weeks before. But in 2024, he finished 9th at the Farmers as well. So we are looking at someone who's doing some good work. A 44th at the Amex is totally okay coming into the week. Got tons of distance off the tee, playing fantastic golf. He is a California guy. I understand the stigma associated with Patrick Rodgers. This is only the second time I've bet him, and I really didn't want to bet him at the Amex, but just in case. And he was like 100-1 anyway, so that was fine. This week, 66-1 each way at Bet Rivers. Get those 6 places over there at 150 odds of the outright. Let's see what Patrick Rodgers can do at a golf course he's had moderate success at in the past. Then I've got Marco Penge, 66-1. We saw he is the best in hard and hellish conditions on the DP World Tour. He gets into the 190 mile per hour ball speeds easily around a golf course like this. That's going to matter a lot. And he is 66-1. I mean, I understand there's some drawback. We spoke about the PXG signing with him and Aldrich. I've got both PXG guys on my card this week. They're both in the 190s ball speed. That's exactly what you want around here. And Penge won 3 times on the DP Tour last year. And he's like specializes in these conditions. I understand he's been sick. I understand he's got new clubs. But again, 66-1, it's not that big of an investment, in my opinion, to kind of get a feel and put my hat in the ring to kind of take advantage of this guy's upside. If he's healthy, got the right equipment, I mean, he can win this thing easily. I think he's built for like success on the PGA Tour for sure. So this being his first start might be a blessing in disguise. So let's see what Marco Penge can do. And then Aldrich. Last year, we had him at like 450-1. Was 3rd entering the final round and kind of crapped the bed over on Sunday. Again, 20 years old, doing his thing on the PGA Tour. He's got tons and tons of distance. And he also just went to PXG. So I'm not entirely sure how that driving is going for him. But again, he is 200-1 at Bet Rivers with 6 places. I mean, this is a guy that won last year at a driver-heavy golf course at the Rocket Mortgage and showed that he's got immense success. I think he gained an average of like 1.5 or 1.6 strokes off the tee, Kenny, per round last year at this golf course, because he was hitting fairways with 330 yards of distance, 335 yards of distance. You mentioned you can't win it with the driver here. Aldrich can. Like, that's what he does. It's his superpower. So maybe this PXG situation isn't as bad as we thought. I was monitoring some stats around the stadium course last week, and he never eclipsed 190 miles an hour, but he hit 189, which, is still pretty close to what he can get up to there. We'll see, maybe unleashes this week at the stadium course. So looking forward to those guys getting it done this week. Haven't had a chance to get all my placements in this afternoon, unfortunately, being thrown up on. So that's the situation we find ourselves in. We are dealing with 8 bets this week. JJ Spawn, all of these have top 5s on each way. Check it out. I'll post that stuff later or in the Discord. JJ Spawn, 33-1. Ryan Gerard, 52-1. Marco Pinge, 66-1. Sahith Thagala, 100-1. Haotong Lee, 100-1. Patrick Rogers, 66-1. Sam Stevens, 55-1. And Aldrich Potgieter, 200-1 to win this week's Farmers Insurance Open. Speaking of Open, DFS, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Kenny Kim, where are we going at the top of the board here at the Farmers?
My first cash game cornerstone is going to be Patrick Cantlay. I think he's 10,200, 10,100, somewhere around there. Solid start to the season. 13th last week, and he needed the season's, and he ended the season pretty strong, of course, with a runner-up at the Tour Championship and a 9th at St. Jude. Best finish here, Genesis, was last year, the Genesis, where he finished 5th. He makes a ton of cuts, right? I think he has 3 missed cuts since the 2024 U.S. Open. So he makes a lot of cuts. Powell and Bent are his best putting services. He had his best performance here ever last year. I'm going to go with Cantlay at a decent number at 10,001 as my first cash game cornerstone. A little worried about Oberg up here. He did withdraw. I don't know why he withdrew
from the Amex.
From the Amex. He withdrew from the Amex. I don't really know why. He shot 67, 68. It's not like it was horrible in his first 2 rounds. So I don't know what's going on with him. They said he has an illness, but beware of the injured golfer or the sick golfer. You might still get it. The only problem I have with him is his iron play hasn't been that great. He hasn't really looked that great since he was in California last year. All right. So I don't know about him. I don't think I'm going to roster him. Xander, he hasn't played in a couple weeks. Cam Young, I'm just not in right now. So the only guy I'm playing here in the 10K range is probably going to be Cantlay. I'm going to play him in cash. I think it's very, very easy to make a super balanced lineup this week. I do think, usually the 8K range is the dead zone. I don't think it's the dead zone this week. I think there's a lot of good plays that people are going to play in that 8K range. I think the 9K range could be sort of dead this week. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out as the ownership projections come out on different sites. But I think the only guy I'm going to play is Cantlay, and I think I'm going to stay pretty balanced this week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go pretty balanced as well, Kenny. There's a good chance the majority of my lineup start in the 9K space anyway. Xander Schauffele is someone that's it's such a conundrum, because as I was showing you guys there with the total finish rate percentages, top 30, 81% of the time, top 40, 88% of the time. Like, it's basically all the time. He's inside the top 40. A top 5 rate of only 6% is like bad. He never had a top 5 all year until he won in Japan when no one was watching. So does that mean he's playing better now? Because obviously the game's there. It's just the mental aspect, right? Getting into the top 5 is clearing that hurdle of being able to do that. Xander's very mental when it comes to his game. I mean, you've seen the success he's had in majors, he's nonstop made cuts there. But the upside, it's limited.
I will say, if he's usually the top owned, the highest priced guy is going to be highly owned. I would expect it to be the same this week or not.
I don't know, because
he's
the course history is not fantastic for him.
10%, 11%. Maybe it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? If he's going to be that low as the highest priced golfer, I don't know what his number's going to be. I'm just throwing a number out there. Don't think he's going to be 10 or 11%. I am not an ownership guru. But if he is going to be super low on, there might be something to think about. Because, honestly, he did win the last time we saw him. Right? Yes. If he's going to be low owned and the highest price guy, it might be something to think of. But at this moment in time, when I don't know ownership, I'm probably going to be off.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there, Kenny. If anything, I might sprinkle him in a lineup. I'm out on pretty much everyone in the 10K range for the most part. Let's get into the nines where I think I'm going to be living for the most part. Yeah, Kenny, you go ahead first, and then I can kind of dance around you since you're thinking the 9K range is a little dead.
Yeah, second cash game cornerstone is going to be Decky. He makes every cut here, right?
Yeah.
Finished 9th and 13th here last year. Driver always an issue, but he's gained strokes with the driver in 3 straight events. Putts well here as he gained almost 8 strokes with the putter here in the 2 events last season. I'm going to go ahead with those 2 guys up top. They seem safe. They seem like they have top 10 upside, right? And I could see that from both of them since they both, finished top 10 here last year, right? So he's my second cash game cornerstone for this week. Other guys, I like the bottom of this. I like Keegan Bradley, like you said, a guy who could play these tough courses, whose ball striking is elite. I do like Keegan. I like Goddard too. I mean, coming up with a win, he's confident. 3 wins in what? Hardly any, not that many events played. The guy wins a lot, right?
Yeah.
I think he's definitely worth a look for GPPs this week.
Absolutely. I think, and his outright number has plummeted. So now it just depends how ownership he's going to have on his name there, because that $9,000 ain't changing, which is, I think, in my opinion, solid value considering who's around and what he's capable of and how he fits this golf course. Because we saw 192. We were chatting about Scotties Scheffler unleashing a 182 ball speed. Like, there was 192 butter fades out in Hawaii for Chris Carter up. High power drives. He doesn't have to hit
That's
it
what
bullets.
you want here.
He can hit it like a big boomer as well out there. His stock shot is that low piercer, but he can absolutely rip it out there. And I think he will be doing it this week. So to me, it's interesting. We're going to have to monitor the ownership on him. I'm happy to take like Harris English instead. I value Harris English's game quite highly. We finished.
He won here last year.
He won here last year. And typically 1 or 2 people a season win again at the same venue, right? So we're getting those like really nice numbers on him. $9,100. He's a short game guru. I like what's going on with English. Also hitting his irons quite nicely the last little while. But in my opinion, JJ Spawn in this range at $9,400 is like in every one of my lineups, maybe 1 or 2 knots. Like all in on JJ Spawn this week at that price. Let's go. I mean, I might sprinkle him in with some Jason Day. You could go 3 9K guys earlier and see what happens. So I'm all about JJ. I'm all about J Day as well at the top here. We'll see what he's getting up to second at the Amex, kind of backdoory as well. But still, nonetheless, we've got 2 top 10s here in the last 4 years at this venue. So lots to like from them. Keegan Bradley as well, another name that I'm all in on. I think that kind of makes too much sense here. 2nd and a 15th in the last 3 years at this golf course is where Keegan Bradley's found his success. So a very cheap option at $9,200, Kenny. In the 8s, though, some other cornerstones from you?
Yeah, no cornerstone. But I mean, here's the thing. Like, I just made a lineup with 5 8K guys and 1 7,500 guy, and I like it. I love this 8K range. I mean, I like Nav up top. Again, I think he had runner up here last year, if I'm not mistaken, or top 5 here.
At the Genesis.
At the Genesis last year, right?
Yeah.
He's coming in with a decent finish into the Sony. I like Maverick McNeely this week. I like Penrith a lot this week. A really good course history here. Once again, a good finish a couple weeks ago at the Sony. He's gotten, he's gotten the rust out of his game. He's into form. I like Penrith. Gerard's going to be popular. Knapp is another guy that I like in this range, who plays this course well, who could drive it out there, who plays well with his longer irons. There's a lot of dudes. You're Homa. You play Homa on Homa courses, right? Is it this one? It's a Homa course?
Absolutely.
About that?
We won you in 2023, 18th in 21, 13th in 24.
Yeah. So, I mean, he has a win, an 18th and a 9th here. So you sort of play home on Homa courses. It looks like he's slowly getting back to where he needs to be. But I think what it's going to cause in this range is someone to be overlooked. And so my hustler play of the week is going to be, you can go ahead to music. It's Wyndham Clark at $8,500 this week. I also bet him at 40-1 with 8 places. Of course, he's best known for his win at the U.S. Open. Actually, he's probably best known for being an asshole. But his second best known thing is for winning the U.S. Open at LACC. Best putting surfaces are Poa and Bent, which are 2EC. I expect the rough to be not as gnarly. I don't know if that's going to be a thing or if it was just because they're playing there again in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure, but I don't expect it to be. I think they're dumbing this tournament down a little bit, like they did with the Cognizant. It just seems like that's what they're doing here. And we'll see if that goes on and we get more information as the week goes on. But, I expect the course to play a little bit easier than, say, a major, right? Or even last year's Genesis. I think mid-teens on the par would be something where you can win here. And I feel like that's right up Wyndham's wheelhouse. 3 top 13s in his last 5 real events, including a 13th last week at a Birdie Fest that I don't think that really suits him. Won another long course, one at Wells Fargo, right? Another exceptionally long course. He's had some spike approach weeks to end last season, including gaining almost 10 strokes with his irons at the 3M. With all these people around him, I see single-digit ownership for Wyndham Clark. And so I like him as my hustler play of the week.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how he goes about it, Kenny, because he's another villain that the PGA Tour needs to succeed. I mean, him and a Scotty Scheffler down the stretch on a Sunday.
I always think his ownership is lower than it should be because people hate him. Sort of like the Patrick Reed effect.
Patrick Reed. Exactly. So he's the new guy, just taller, handsomer, T-mobiled, and more violent when it comes to locker room lockers. So a better villain, in all aspects apart from lawsuits, which might still be coming at some point from Wyndham for whoever. In the 8s, I mean, if you're looking for someone that's just going to make the cut and finish inside the top 40, Adam Scott makes too much sense. I mean, I might just bet him, but we are looking at Adam Scott doing wonderful things with tons of distance off the tee. For an old dog, the Champions Tour is in trouble by the time Adam Scott makes it out there because he's going to be hitting it like 50 yards past those guys. It's going to be really fun to see when he makes it out there. So he's an interesting name to go at here at $8,100. As you mentioned, Jake Knapp makes too much sense. I was a little worried about what kind of form he'd show up with this year. 11th at the Sony, more than good enough, in my opinion. Fantastically powerful man to get out of this rough, to just nuke the drivers around you with zero penalty, basically, wherever you hit it. So give me Jake Knapp there. I'll probably be playing some Wyndham Clark with you as well, Kenny. I think that makes a lot of sense too. I think Taylor Pendrith is going to be a better fish bet, like we've spoken about in the past. Instead of playing him this week in DFS at $8,700, he's one of the best, top 20 best you could have made at this golf course, over the last couple of years. If you take a look at what his top 20 number looks like, in the last couple, we're cashing 3 of the last 4 top 20s at plus money numbers in capacity. So I like betting Taylor Pendrith for a top 20 here versus playing him in DFS. I think we're going to get that safety in the betting market, but slight upside. He hasn't really contended enough for me to kind of really go after him in a DFS capacity. So I'm really happy to just go to him in a betting capacity. Depending on Ryan Gerard's ownership, I might go to him as well, but I think he's going to be very popular. He's playing way too good a golf to be $8,600 right now. So especially with a 15th place finish here last year. So that 8K range, like you mentioned, is stacked. Brooks Koepka is going to come in quite owned despite having 2 missed cuts at this venue in 2022 and 2021. Oh, yeah. I think people are just going to be, Brooks is back. Let's go. Let's click this name. I mean, people are idiots. Like they look like me out there clicking buttons. So what are your thoughts on Brooks?
I don't see him being that highly owned, but again, I'm not an ownership guru, so I have no idea.
People get hype. It's just going to be like the jabronis are just going to be clicking him. He's $8,000. Ideally, he would have been 7-9.
Problem with PGA DFS. The problem with PGA DFS, there's not that many jabronis that play anymore. There's not.
Fair.
Like people
Fair.
so sharp nowadays, right? That play this like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, sure, right? But I just feel like the dumb DFS player goes to football, right? Or goes to basketball because it's so much less variance, right? That it just seemed to make it easier. And it just sort of delved to those two things. I think you got to be a hard-on to really stick with PGA DFS in the long run.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. I'm not sure. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe you're right. Maybe Koepka does go off. I just don't see it as
Sure.
ownership.
No, I could be overreacting to that a little bit, but there are like at least 5% of jabronis out there because in Showdown last week, there were multiple people playing the stadium course when
Another
everyone was
thing is
playing
I
La
stopped
Quinta.
playing the jabroni tournaments too. Like I'm not playing like the $5 drive the green. I'm not sure playing, those lottery ticket ones anymore. So maybe that's why I'm thinking the way I am, because I'm playing with a very small select group of people who play, like 1,000 people who get in, or like 700 people who played $100 single entry or something like that, right? So maybe that's why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking.
Kenny, have you noticed like any trends or any like patterns, or since you're playing the same tournament or contest in DK every single week, have you noticed like similar people showing up there with similar kind of strategy? Like I know unlikely,
I
but
don't pay that much attention to anybody else.
okay. Great question there, Byron. In the 7K range, Kenny Kim, where are you going there this week?
All right, Sam Stevens is my third cash game cornerstone. We talked about him in the betting segment. Of course, you play Sam at driver-heavy courses. His form has been very, very good. His 6 last week was impressive. A couple of top 15s here, including a runner-up last year. So I do like Sam Stevens as my third cash game cornerstone. My final cash game cornerstone is going to be Nicholas Højgaard at 7,500. Again, 4th place finish last week in Dubai. Against a pretty strong field finish runner-up here before. Iron game very strong, especially with his longer irons. So my cash game cornerstones for this week, they are going to be Patrick Cantlay at 10,100, Hideki Matsuyama at 9,300, Sam Stevens at 7,800, and Nicholas Højgaard at 7,500. Leaves, I think, close to 15,000 to finish out the rest of your lineup. I had like Knapp and somebody else. I haven't really decided on my final two. But another guy I do like up here is Thor Bjornsson at $7,600. Again, when it comes to stats, he comes up very high in my model for me. I think he is 5th. Iron game, very, very strong, right? Really good with his longer irons, exceptionally strong off the tee. 3rd in strokes gained ball striking. Ball striking, strokes gained ball striking is probably one of the more important stats here, right? How they do off the tee and how they do with their irons. And he's been one of the best. So I really do like Thor Bjornsson at $7,600. I think I'm going to go back to Bhatia. I know people were on him a little bit more last week. I ended up not going on him because of his miscuts that he had. At that, I just don't think he likes the Amex. I think
doesn't like the 17th hole, that's for sure.
Four straight miscuts sort of shows that he's probably not a fan of the way it's suited. And I think this course, he's had a couple of successful run-ins at this course already in his career. His iron game in the last 50 rounds is the best in the field, right? With strokes gained approach, again, long irons, exceptionally solid, top 20 in strokes gained ball striking. I really do like Bhatia. I'm going to go back on the flop lag with him after his miscut last week. Thigala, we talked about. I'm a fan this week. Novak was in my betting card. I am a fan this week. Hao Tong Lee was in my betting card. I am a fan this week. Who do you like? Oh, Lee Hodges at 7,100 as well. There's another guy that I'll be playing with, well above average ball striking. Again, long iron, solid. I like Lee Hodges.
No Andrew Novak for you, Kenny?
And Novak, I have Novak. Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's see what they can do. Love Sahith. Garrick Higo. I'm quite disappointed in him. I expected him to, and I'm an idiot. Maybe I am the jabroni. If you don't know who the jabronis are, you're probably him. So I was expecting him to play 7 straight to start the year. Sony, Amex, Farmers, Waste Management, then the 2 signature events that he's got exemption into because he was top 10 in the fall, because he was rattling off top 5s like it was his job. We haven't seen him since, I think, like the Nedback. So it's been forever. And Garrick Kenny, he ended last year like ridiculously hot. Whether or not that shows up again this week, I don't know. But at $7,600, you could have a top 5 in your lineup here quite easily if he plays well enough. He's got the distance off the tee. Now, the last four months, he's gaining 2.5 strokes per round. Like, that's nuts. So Garrick Higgo is going to be one of my favorite plays here in the $7,600 range. Barely fell off my betting card this week, and he's joined there right by Justin Rose at $7,500. Going to be super low owned. I was all over Justin Rose last week. Goes out there and like shoots level par around La Quinta, and then the following day just about kicks Scotty Scheffler's ass on the course that they played the following day. So he's like very hit or miss. At this golf course, he's got a 6th and an 18th here in the last 4 years. So he's very good at kind of getting up and down in these tricky conditions. We've seen him show up at majors. It's if it wasn't for those like kind of sticky conditions at this venue, I think I'm off him still until like we get to the Masters, where I think he's kind of just honed in on majors. But I'm just going to throw him in one lineup, one of my 5. So just 20% Justin Rose for my 5 and see where that takes us. So he's going to be in the mix there. And then I want to say Rico. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to go back to Christopher Wrighton as well at $7,300. I'm just going all in on these DP World Tour guys. And they're not like your classic Luke Donalds or Zach Johnson's. He's not a DP, but not a pop gun. Christopher Wrighton hits it like 190 mile per hour ball speed as well. He's like a freak sheet guy. So I'm all in on his distance. 28% of his finishes last year on the DP World Tour were top 5s. 3 of every 10 starts was inside the top 5 for him. And he's absurdly talented. He won the Nedbank in South Africa, a long golf course with thick Kikuyu rough. Kenny, let's go. Right? Like Christopher Wrighton's absolutely on the card. Sorry, on the DFS side of things at $7,300. And then Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, same situation. Superstar on the DP World Tour side of things. Tons of distance off the tee. Fantastic in hard and hellish conditions for him as well. So there's a lot to like. Christopher Wrighton's not going to check out very good because he lost 8.6 strokes on at the Sony. He played
round.
Really bad, man. Like it was one of the worst rounds of golf I've ever seen for like someone that's won as many times as he has. So it's hopefully he's bounced back. But I think this is a venue. The Sony just seems too cramped for what he can get up to. I think this kind of golf course is going to unleash. So he's in the mix. Andrew Novak, Patrick Rogers, lots of fun names in the $7,000 range over here for us. In the 6s, Kenneth Kim, where are we headed?
I like Kevin Roy at 6,800. We've seen him on the first page of the leaderboard already this season. Again, really good with his long irons, really good with his really good on long par 4s. His par 4 efficiency from 450 to 500. He's 8th in this field in the last 50 rounds. I like Kevin Roy if I'm going down there. I like Patrick Fishburne at 6,700. Again, top 25 in the field in strokes gained ball striking in the last 50 rounds. The best in the field from par 4 efficiency from 450 to 500 in his last 50 rounds. Give me a little bit of Fishburne at 6,700. And then I also do like, where is he? Stephen Fisk at 6,600, 21st in strokes gained ball striking in the last 15 rounds, 14th in strokes gained off the tee, well above average with his iron play, 15th in strokes gained tee degree in this field in the last 50 rounds. So those are 3 of the guys I really like in the 6K range.
Yeah, the 6K range has got some interesting names because there are some guys that have got sensational course, not sensational, but really good course history that are priced $6,000. And I think when I used to do my show with Ron, PGA Splits 101, he always mentioned in the 6K range, you kind of just hunt down guys with good course history. It's an easy way to kind of project something spectacular from them. Bo Hassler at $6,900 has finished 6th and 15th here at the Farmers in the last 2 years.
Bo was also basically the leader of the tournament after the first round last week because he gained I think 7 strokes to the field at the stadium course, six strokes to the field. So technically, like when it came to strokes gained, he was first or second after the first round last week.
Yeah, Jason Day was just ahead of him, I think. Hostler was second. So unbelievable stuff from him. So he got some good form, potentially throw him on a first-round leader card if that makes sense wherever he's playing. Another guy that complete sense for great course history, Jonathan Vegas. 39th, 25th, 42nd in the last 4. Not like monstrous upside, but at $6,800, you're just looking for him to continue to play golf for you over the weekend, and he's going to top 40 for you if he does. He's got the distance off the tee. He's played great golf at the 3M, driver-heavy golf course, obviously. Mexico, another situation there. It makes sense that he's played well at this venue. I'm also going to take a peek at, now this is an interesting name and will come in at like 0 point something ownership. It's Chad Ramey, $6,600. 48th and 39th in the last 3 starts at this golf event. He's $6,600. He's 0% owned. Let's see what he can do. He's obviously figured out a way to get around this venue. Then you're taking a look at Luke List, $6,500. He's one of these guys that just does, he's a winner here. Got top 10s, top 25s, struggled a bit the last little while, but has made the cut in the last 2 years. He needs to play some good golf. $6,500, he's going to be potentially low owned as well. Adam Schenk, $6,200, has finished 20th, 25th, and 25th. The last 3 times he's played the Farmers. $6,200, the guy that was putting one-handed in Bermuda and won that tournament. And then we've got Kevin Streelman, who finished 15th here last year and has a couple made cuts and a couple top 40s elsewhere in other years at this venue. So he's $6,200, not a long hitter, but again, he's going to be accurate. Kenny, I didn't mention this when you was doing the stats. You either need exceptional driving distance or exceptional accuracy at this golf course. You like a total driving guy, like that's medium driving distance, medium accuracy, is not going to really cut it at this golf course. You need to have like one or the other at extreme levels to have success. Like if you're going to be ripping 4-irons into every green because you're short, they better be from the fairway. And if you're going to be hitting 7-irons instead of 4-irons and wedges instead of 4-irons, you're going to be out there rough, likely, but you're going to be way the fuck down there. So that's kind of the general philosophy there. Kevin Streelman fits into the prior. So does Peter Malnati. That's $6,000 flat. 3 top 25 finishes in the last 5 years. The last 2 finishes have been miscuts. But he relies on short game. It's going to just be whether or not he putts well enough this week. He's $6,000, people. Put him in one lineup first. Click his name first and then just see what you have to spend. Got lots of money in your pocket. So lots to be had in the 6K range if you got the nuts to go there. Someone that I was kind of contemplating as well is Alejandro Tosti at $6,200. Some Texas Open comps, from a driver-heavy, long iron venue. Alejandro Tosti got lots of gas in the tank there. Gas in the tank is what I want to sniff after going with Keegan Bradley at the, not Amex. I went with him at the Sony. He missed the cut. And then I would have gone with Tom Hoagie if Kenny Kim never talked me off of him and made me play Sam Burns instead. We finished a meaningless 21st last week. So how did you do in your one and done last week, Kenny?
The Slider Cup, I had the lowest score, so I won the week. I was tied with 2 other people. Mm-hmm. I had Siwoo and Bridgman is who I had.
Oh, nice.
Siwoo and Bridgman. You get $100 if you have the lowest. The way Slider Cup works is the lowest wins, and it goes on finish positions, right? And so I think it was 19 points I got last week, and I think 2 other people tied me with 19 points. So you get an extra $100 every time you do that for each week. So nice. $133 there, whatever. I had I think Siwoo in Mayo, so I'm in like the top 500, whatever. It's early as fuck. It doesn't really matter right now. But I got some people. I'm thinking Højgaard, Wyndham Clark, Maverick McNeely, Keegan Bradley. Those are some people that I'm looking at. We'll see where I end up.
Yeah, I'm looking at Keegan Bradley. I think Jason Day is going to be monstrously owned. I think in just a one and done setting, if you're looking to get leverage, you're not going to get burned with a Jason Day win this week. You know, what are they going to win? $1.6 million again?
Mhm.
That's a second place at a signature event. You know, like that's totally fine. So I'm not too worried about like, it really only starts once Pebble rolls around. You know, that's when, I mean, you're winning what, $3.2 million or $3.6 million at Pebble?
Mhm.
Something crazy. You know, that's like almost the 3 tournaments that we've just had. So it's kind of absurd to think about. So he'll be interesting there. Maybe Max Homer, but I don't think it's too early for Max. I think, what are your thoughts on Lindeque, Kenny?
Yeah, maybe. I don't hate it. I was also thinking Pendrith too for international. There's guys here that you don't really mind using. I think all the guys that I just laid out, I don't think you mind using those guys in
Yeah.
this type of event.
Yeah, I agree with you. Couldn't agree more. Awesome, Sawsome. Check me out on X at the Model Maniac over there. Grab all of my tools, all of my bets, all my write-ups, all of that stuff in the Model Maniac Patreon link below. There's a promo code for you guys on the screen as well. Thank you so much for all of your support. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Catch me tomorrow at 3 Eastern. 3 Eastern in the afternoon on Mayo Media for Back 9 Bets. I'm no longer doing it at 7 Eastern. I'm a dad. I need to love my child when she gets home. 3 Eastern is when I will be going live for you guys. Solo show tomorrow. Let's have a good one. Kenny Kim, get us out of here.
You find me on X at KendoVT. I have my final betting card there. Any live bets? I'll probably do some live bets this week. So make sure you follow me at KendoVT. Big boy course, decent field, should be fun. Hopefully it's not the last time we're here. Let's win some motherfucking money. DJ Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the words. I done popped the molly and I think it's be my third.